Welcome back to the next video on Industrial Agile, or actually leaving the Agile part, the Scrum part behind for this video and giving an introduction in the sketch on the board into complexity, the thinking behind or supporting agility in my opinion. The sketch and the thinking comes from the Cynefin framework from Dave Snowden, and if you want to have a much more thorough introduction than what I can do here in a couple of minutes, go look for him. So complexity, or Cynefin, the framework, what does it illustrate? What does it explain? It explains that the system can be in multiple states, can be in one of very different states, and every state needs a different way of working with it. Obvious is a state of a system where things are obvious. There are boundaries, there are rules, people know what to do, they're following rules, and then it works. Think of your manufacturing environment as such a space. It has got rules, it's got manufacturing processes, which may involve many steps and work on products like a video camera that are not the easiest or the simplest to assemble, yet following the rules will give a good video camera. And if for some reason it doesn't work, people know, stop this and let's find out what is wrong and let's resolve that. So an obvious state of a system has got rules, has got boundaries, people know what to do. Complicated is also a state of a system where there are boundaries, where people know what to do. There are rules, yet the rules are more complicated. So it needs people with more experience, with more in-depth, with broader knowledge. Think of the designers of the video camera. There are people who know everything about optics or electronics or the software, and brought together it might be a lot of work and they might be banging their head against the keyboards every now and then, yet the problem is within boundaries and the whole solution follows rules, and within those rules the camera gets developed and also the rules for manufacturing are getting developed. So yeah, more complicated state of a similar kind of a system. There are rules, there are boundaries within which people work. Flipping now to complex is where there are no more boundaries. There's an unknown. There's no more rules to follow and then it will go right. And you're in a state where you're looking for the boundaries. And the only way out here is by running experiments. Try this and measure what this will do to you. Is that good? Okay, continue on it. Is it not good? Then roll back the experiment, but run many experiments, often in parallel, to see how the system can work. You're looking for the boundaries, you're looking for the rules in a complex environment. Chaos is where, again, there are no rules, no boundaries, yet there is neither that state of searching for rules and boundaries. It's chicken with no head mode. People are doing all kinds of things. Some people are still working in an obvious state, soldiering on. Other people are trying to do research in a complicated environment, yet the system as a whole is moving in an uncontrollable way. It's got to stop. So chaos, the first and only rule is to stop. Do something to stop it and then decide which parts of the system go where. What can go to obvious? Hey folks, you're good, keep doing what you're doing. Which go to complicated? We need some new rules, some new product specs, and some parts will go to complex and we have to, by trial and error, find out how to get out of the complex part of that situation. But first and foremost, it's getting out of it. An example, since this recording takes place during the COVID-19 pandemic, That pandemic started as a chaotic system. It's very new. It's not happened before. There's a panicky state. People don't know what is happening and do panicky things. The infamous toilet paper hoarding is an example. Why? It's got little to do with the whole problem situation, and it definitely is not going to resolve it. An example of a chaotic state. Stop it as a leader. Say, hold on, stop with that toilet paper buying, do this, do this, do this. Set rules for people to behave by, maybe some new rules like stay at home and social distancing, etc. Kick off research, complicated area to create an antivirus to the COVID-19 virus. Yeah, that's complicated. That takes experienced scientists of very different natures, biologists and chemists and who knows who else. Yet give them time, give them space, give them materials, and they can figure it out and create a manufacturing process that will then produce what is necessary to get rid of the actual virus. There are parts of the problem of the pandemic that are complex. The whole new economic situation, people behaving different, partly because they have stay-at-home rules, partly because their moods are changing, their behaviors are changing. And that will require some trial and error to find out how to get out of that. There might be new rules developed that are forever. There might be new products, services developed that could be complicated. But to figure out what needs to change and where to put effort, resources, money, that's a complex environment. That's a complex problem, and you'll get there by trial and error. So the 4 states. In the next video, I'll talk about that disorder state in the center and where it's used. We'll also explore where you want to be as a leader, as a manager, or as a participating individual. We talk about how to cross the borders, because you will. If you look at what's happening with COVID-19, we go from a steady state. It's not all obvious, but excuse that liberal use of the word here. From a steady state, all of a sudden into a panic. We kind of dropped off a cliff. Those things happen, and sometimes you want them to happen. You make them happen as a leader. That's for next videos. For now, a starting point with thinking about systems, about complex parts of the system, with many thanks to Dave Snowden and the people who work with him, and the write-up in the Cynefin model. Thank you very much.